Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about Corvus Glaive in AQ most typically, because I end up using Corvus fairly frequently and obviously I picked up a couple of little tricks which some of you maybe don't know. And first and possibly most important one is the fact that you can get your evade auto block mission on Footloose nodes with Corvus. Base idea is whenever opponent throws a special attack, they gain unstoppable and 50% chance to evade any of the incoming attacks. And obviously since they are also unstoppable, it's kind of risky and tricky to try and hit them while these buffs are active, but I do it most often with a level 1. So basically I make sure I have a level 1 active, and then I launch it whilst they have these buffs active and then try to knock down the opponents down afterwards. And that pretty much lets me get a Glaive charge in my first fight, which typically ends up being the Black Panther Civil War. And it's obviously an easy way how to get that mission. Obviously it works for any Footloose node. And if you do not feel like trying it out on Black Panther Civil War, you can definitely do that on Red Skull as well. You just kind of have to be careful with the Red Skull fight to not hit him while the 8 armor breaks are on. Here we're gonna have a clip, I believe, of next day where I'm gonna do the same thing. Obviously it's still somewhat risky, and in a sense that you may or end up getting hit in the face as you're trying that, especially if you try it out with a regular basic attack and the evade doesn't trigger and they're unstoppable. They're going to be basically hitting you back in the face. But on the bright side, it's Corvus Glaive, and Corvus does heal every single fight by itself. And even if you do end up getting hit and getting some damage done to you, it doesn't really matter because it's Corvus, right? That one combo you might end up eating is not going to be enough to kill you, and so long as you survive, Corvus will do just fine for the rest of the AQ cycle. But getting that initial mission is definitely quite important, especially if you use him on lanes like buffed up later on and you need to make sure that you have enough buffs before you reach that section. Then you should know that you can always use Footloose in order to acquire basically your evade auto block mission with Corvus, and then it's going to be smooth sailing afterwards. And now, as a little bonus thing that I suspect a majority of you guys do know already about, is that I always pretty much also use Corvus on the freezer burn lanes and typically end up just striking opponent's block. Now, only day when that is actually hard and tricky thing to accomplish is the day when you have brute force modifier or whatever it's called, because then obviously you're going to be degenning if you don't land a hit on opponent every X amount of time, so you're going to be losing health. But all 4 other days it is going to be an extremely easy thing to accomplish, and as an addition you always kind of like manage to heal back to full, basically because Corvus takes no damage from the cold snap. Cold snap triggers willpower, so it gives you a free whole bunch of healing. But all in all, it's actually quite an easy and simple thing to pull off, and quite often I actually do prefer it to just fighting regularly, just because you have less opponent's special attacks to bait, you don't have too much to worry about, and yeah, it's not tricky at all. And plus, it in case you had made any mistakes up to this point, you can easily heal up your Corvus back to full health. Super easy to pull off, as I mentioned, 4 days out of 5. And even if you do make a slip up, you do get that incinerate debuff on you. It will not deal all that much damage and you can recover from it. And then typically towards the end of the fight, you can just like land the full combo in the opponent if you want to finish out the fight quicker. And it just kind of like saves you a headache of thinking who you will use for these fights and who fits the bill and whether you have the immunities needed. Well, it turns out Corvus is just perfectly fine for these fights as well. But I think that'll pretty much do for today. There isn't too much more I wanted to talk about in this video, just a couple of quick tips and tricks with Corvus, I suppose. So yeah guys, remember Footloose node is always pretty much a free mission for Corvus, as well as the fact that Corvus is just perfectly fine option to be used for any and all freezer burn lanes, at least in AQ where they are not too tricky or complicated. All of that being said, that will be pretty much it for today's video. Hopefully you found it useful, and if you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit all of the good buttons. Share it with your alliance mates, perhaps it helps them out as well, because you never know, right? Alright, but now for reals, I'm done. Been my pleasure, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya.